The wait is over! After 19 years, the Vera Project's 20th anniversary merchandise is finally on sale. Let everyone know what you care about without saying a word with this shapely unisex 3-color t-shirt, designed and printed inside the Vera Project. If this doesn't get people talking about you, then nothing will. Priced at a vaguely reasonable $15, not including taxes and shipping. And be sure to cover up with this attractive utilitarian crewneck, the superior choice from hiding your tattoos from mom. These foxy pieces can be purchased separately or together on www.theveraproject.org/store. Order soon because stock is limited until we make more.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36.
field tending to my crops, when I felt a tingling feeling at the tip of my socks. So I looked down to the ground. And guess what I found? I found a little snake. He looked at me and smiled and said, "I'm so happy I found my friends today." I said, "Good job, I'm happy for you. I want to meet your friends and make some new friends." So the snake put his hand in his mouth and whistled. Here come the chickens. Here come the chickens. Here come the chickens. So the snake put his hand in his mouth and whistled. Here come the chickens. Down to the ground. And guess what I found? I found a little snake.
They're pins. They're wearable. 1.5 inches wide. We've had them for years. $10. www.theveraproject.org/store.
Stinky Lou and Stinky Pete, Stinky Rabbit lives at a Stinky Dink, Stink Bob and Little Stink, Stinking Donut, Stinking also Big Stink. We're going to the Stink Fest, you, me, and all the bugs. We're going to the Stink Fest, oh yeah, we're gonna stink it up. Stinky rabbits lives at a Stinky Dink, Stinky Bob and Little Stink, Stinking Donuts, Stinking also Big Stink. We're going to the Stink Fest, you, me, and all of the bubs. We're going to the Stink Fest, oh yeah, we're gonna stink it up. We're going to the Stink Fest, you, me, and all of the bugs. We're going to the Stink Fest, oh yeah, we're gonna stink it up.
Hey, let's go to the circus. Oh, I can't wait to go to the circus. It's gonna be elephants, and it's gonna be clowns, and it's gonna be big old giraffes. They're gonna try and say circus for me, all for me. They're gonna dance in the center of the ring for me. Lion tamers, big old guys in top hats, and the peanuts. Yeah, there's peanuts, big old peanuts, candy covered peanuts, chocolate peanuts, red apple peanuts, big tiny peanuts. I love peanuts, yeah. Hey, so with the peanuts and my favorite friends and my big old walrus friends and the giraffe friends, and there's big people on a tightrope doing big swings around the whole court, and it's gonna be so fun. You gotta come to the circus with me. It's gonna be the best.
Hi everybody, I'm Andrew and I'm the gallery chair at the Vera Project. I help coordinate artists to come in and out of the exhibition space that we have, and we like to feature artists from Seattle, and we've been starting to recently have interviews with myself and artists on Vera TV. And today we are able to feature an artist named Kailee Barbato. Kailee, you can pronounce that correctly for me if you can.
Barbato.
There you go. And Kailee especially, I think, is interesting at this point. One, because I think her work is amazing, but also, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and Kailee's exhibition was taking place March of 2020, right when all of this happened. And as we're currently interviewing, Kailee's material is still at Vera, up in a closed gallery. And Kailee is much like other artists in the region who have had to deal with the pandemic and how it's impacted their practice and that sort of thing. So you can be on the lookout for future interviews with artists as well on Vera TV and both on the website as well. So with that, Kailee, I'll let you kind of tell us who you are and how you came to be, and then how you found Vera, and go from there.
Well, I used to actually go to shows at Vera when I first moved to Seattle. So I really like the space. I'm familiar with it. And me as an artist in Seattle, I started this collection about 4 years ago. Living in Ballard, I was experiencing a bunch of exponential growth and needed a way to express it. So started painting in my house with kitchen utensils and saran wrap and sponges and just anything I can get my hands on to express myself. So yeah.
And the work behind you is one of your pieces, I assume. I think
it is, yeah.
My interest in your artwork, especially when you approached us for the gallery, it's abstract. There's a lot to it, and I think it's a lot of nuance. I think that other artists more realist artists might not, touch on. And I think the abstract nature of it's pretty interesting. Do you want to talk a bit to how you came to that side of things versus much more of a realism approach?
So when I was a young kid, I really liked Henri Matisse and Pablo Picasso and Gustave Klimt, because it was so dreamy and colorful, their work was. And as I got older, I started paying attention to artists like Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko. Pollock because of his movement and action in his work, and Rothko because of his intention with color and space. Mm-hmm. So those two artists really influenced my work now. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, those are all wonderful artists, and I have an art history background, and those are some heavy hitters, so you're in good company for sure.
Yeah.
Were you an artist before you moved out to Seattle?
Yeah, I've been painting since I was 8. I did a lot of watercolors growing up. And then I got into painting these abstract roses. And yeah, it's so weird remembering creating my first piece from this collection. The first two are called Knife and Spoon because I used spoon to create the first one and knife to use the second. But yeah, something just clicked over in my brain one day when I was creating those pieces, and I was just like, wow, I'm really onto something. And 4 years down the line, I'm still doing it, still doing the same kind of style. Actually, it's changed a lot. I used to do things with more negative space, but the one behind me, mm-hmm. Yeah. Went into a blue phase, got sad.
Very Picasso. And yeah, no, so you're a relatively new artist to the Seattle area. You haven't been working up here for 50 years or anything,
No.
You know the scene pretty well. How do you see, as a practicing artist, how do you see the Seattle art scene? And then as part of that, how do you see places like the Vera Project Art Gallery?
So the Seattle art scene is very competitive. I waited an entire year for my first show after I started my collection. And that's kind of, how I emailed Vera, just putting myself out there. It's all I do during the day is email different galleries, restaurants, bakeries, anything that would host local artists. Mm-hmm. But it's very competitive, and it's been a challenge, but it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding. And places like the Vera Project are great for local artists and, you know, the Seattle community. I really like this bar Jupiter in Belltown. The owner, Joey Nix, is really involved in the Seattle art community and does a really good job collaborating with artists, bringing them into live paint and sell their work and all that stuff. You know, I love places like that. They really matter. It's great.
It sounds like you're pretty in tune to the Seattle scene here, and a lot of those spaces that are maybe a little bit more accessible. As you were saying, you know, it's a competitive scene, and I think we have a range of folks that approach the gallery, and, you know, of all different backgrounds. You know, some have been practicing like yourself for a little while, others are brand new, and it really, you know, they're all very eager and excited to, you know, show their work, but there's a lot of people and there's a lot of competition. So
yeah, definitely.
And I think something as gallery chair, when I'm bringing in artists, it's important to me that they can really see, I guess, the potential for their work, both within Vera's space, but also kind of big picture. And I think you presented yourself really well in a way that, you know, I could see where your vision was and where you were going. And yeah, that's really important. It's almost, you know, like a big resume, I guess, for artists. Folks like myself are looking at them.
Thank you.
With, as I said, the pandemic has been a challenge in a lot of different ways over the last few months and probably for the rest of the year. But, you know, your timing for the show, while unfortunate, I think is really interesting in the sense that obviously we had the work up for, you know, what, 2 weeks or so before we had to really pull the plug on any kind of programming or, you know, intentional display of any kind beyond that. And as we're sitting here talking, you know, it's currently July and the work is still sitting there in an empty building, you know, waiting for life to resume. Can you speak to, one, how does that feel, and what does that do to, I guess, an artist's, you know, intention when they're always looking to, you know, find the next place to display, and how that's really impacted your day-to-day?
Well, I really, I feel out of control, which I hate. You know, I had a couple shows actually lined up after Vera, so that's been complicated trying to reschedule and move things around and hope that my shows are still going to be there after.
I bet.
So it's weird not to be around my work, and even though I know it's safe, it's just been there for so long. Usually like a month or so after I hang, I'm able to like bring my work back and like be around it, and I miss it. I miss
No, for sure.
But I was stoked about that show at Vera. I loved hanging. It was so much fun. Such a shame. But you know, this time has been good. I've been just staying inside and painting a lot, and I think the solitude has been important.
Yeah, I can't imagine how. I'm not a practicing artist. I have an art history background, and that's how I came to be in the spaces that I'm at. I can't imagine how that would impact both, I guess, my day-to-day as an artist if I was creative in that sense, but also long-term. Do you think that with the kind of global crisis as we have it, and then all of the recent protests and things too, I mean, there's obviously a major groundswell that feels very different than, you know, stressful times in the past. Do you think that all of these things will help influence your work moving forward, or do you think you'll kind of stick to where you're?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been painting at home a lot, and I've been using a lot of pink, which means that I'm probably frustrated. And I'm frustrated because I feel out of control and I don't know where things are going. So it definitely influences my work. And for the better too.
For sure.
I think that we're all going to come out of this a little bit better, safer, and I'm just looking forward to things resuming, you know. A little bit of normalcy would be nice. But for me as an artist, I paint alone and I'm by myself a lot, so it hasn't really shaken my core too much.
No, that's interesting. I think, again, everyone has a different relationship with crises that have gone on the last few months. And I think the creative side to that has been so interesting and really unavoidable, frankly. Yeah, and I think spaces like Vera, obviously you approached us, and that's sometimes how we bring work through the space. But do you think that now, when you're looking at other locations to help, both display your art, but also just like raise your profile as an artist, have you been looking beyond Seattle, or are you thinking of staying, here, Seattle proper?
Before this pandemic, I was kind of thinking about moving to LA, trying to play my cards out there a little bit, spread myself out. But I've really come to appreciate Seattle since the pandemic. So I don't know. I might stay for a while. I might go. I kind of like fly by the wind kind of girl. No,
it's not a bad place to be in. I think there's been a lot of folks, at least in my circles, that may or may not be looking at other places, and the recent surge in COVID cases and figuring out, what does their community look like,
right,
long term, but also day to day. What do your circles here look like, and what is the idea of community really sticking to how you live your life day to day. You've been pretty active online. Is there any of your social media that you want to discuss too? And have you been able to post? I've been following, but if you can tell everybody else on, how you've been able to post a little bit more during the pandemic and give people kind of an example of how you approach your practice.
So yeah, I've been painting, forcing myself to paint since the beginning of this pandemic. Before the pandemic, I probably painted, I would try to sit down and paint a couple times a week. But now I pretty much paint every single day. I think it's healthy just to focus on something creative during this time and to like really explore that, like everyone should. So I've been posting a lot on my art Instagram, and I like people to feel like they should be creative and responsible during this time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Want to tell us your websites and Instagram and things, if any of our viewers...
Oh yeah. So my website is kaileebarbato.wordpress.com, and my Instagram is Kailee Barbato, KaileeBarbato.
Great. Well, I think that about wraps up our discussion. I want to thank you for being here, and both as the gallery, but also as Vera, as extension of Vera's staff, and everyone watching.
Thanks for hosting me.
No, I'm glad this worked. I know it's been a little bit to get going. So, and of course, we'll let everyone know, hopefully your work stays up for a little bit longer, and whenever Vera is able to reopen, we will encourage folks to come through and figure that out when we get to there.
I would love that.
And yeah, we're looking in the gallery space. We're hoping to have new work, hopefully by the end of the year, maybe sometime next year. We've put a pause on everything, but for all the folks viewing still today, do keep an eye on our social media, and we will be posting whenever we have some new artists lined up for hopefully for the next little bit. So, and then we'll be interviewing some more artists like Kailee here, hopefully as part of VTV every couple of weeks, and yeah, we'll have more content for you soon. So thanks again, Kailee, and we will be in touch. Hopefully the work can come down at some point, but until then, we'll have everyone be able to view it through your Instagram and other social media.
It was nice talking to you.